Okay, so let's dive in. Forget your standard dovecul analysis for a moment.
Right.
We're looking at a really specific, maybe even esoteric analysis today.
Definitely. It involves 7 quite distinct texts.
Yeah, sources from Job, Leviticus, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Hebrews, even the Book of Enoch.
A real mix. And the goal.
The goal is to see if they all somehow align, pointing towards one single future date.
September 23rd, 2025.
Exactly, September 23, 2025.
And that date itself, well, it's immediately significant, isn't it?
It is. Tell us why.
It's Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets on the Hebrew calendar.
Okay.
And this whole analysis hinges on the framework of the late Dr. Ernest L. Martin.
Specifically his early work, right? Pre-1998.
Crucially, yes. His pre-1998 work, his later interpretations shifted quite a bit.
Away from the astronomical focus.
Exactly. And that focus is key here, underpinning this specific dating idea.
Like his recalculation of Christ's nativity.
Precisely. Placing it on Rosh Hashanah, 3 BCE. That same feast day.
So we've got this specific date, Rosh Hashanah 2025, seen as a kind of divine appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And these 7 varied sources that supposedly form a single story.
That's the core idea. Not random verses, but a coherent arc.
An arc moving from, what, covenant and blessing initially?
Yes, starting there, but then moving towards judgment.
And finally...
And ending with a kind of transcendent revelation.
Interesting. And you mentioned a core tension in that arc.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
It really crystallizes in the New Testament sources used, particularly Hebrews.
Ah, Hebrew.
It presents this really stark choice, deliverance through faith on one hand versus, well, destruction through unbelief on the other.
Okay, I see that in the selected verses. Hebrews 3 warns about that evil heart of unbelief leading away from God, apostasy.
Right, but then you jump to Hebrews 11.
The faith chapter.
And specifically verse 29, the Israelites crossing the Red Sea.
While the Egyptians drowned.
Exactly. Same event, totally different outcomes, and the differentiator.
Safe, just faith alone.
So if faith is the decider, what about those who don't have it, according to this framework?
That leads us to the judgment part of the arc.
And some of those texts are incredibly severe, like Jeremiah 25.
Yeah, the slain being like dung on the face of the earth. That's potent imagery.
It is. And this is where we absolutely have to bring in Martin's specific doctrine.
Universal reconciliation.
Yes. How do you possibly square that verse with universal reconciliation? It seems contradictory.
It does. Calling judgment that results in, well, dung. Calling that restorative mercy sounds like a stretch.
It requires understanding Martin's specific view. For him, divine judgment wasn't eternally punitive, ever.
Okay.
He saw it as corrective, restorative. Maybe think of it like painful divine surgery, a cleansing fire.
So severe, even catastrophic, but ultimately serving a redemptive purpose.
That's the lens, purifying creation, eventually restoring humanity. It's crucial context for interpreting those harsh verses.
Got it. Okay, that context is key. So let's apply this lens now, this whole framework, to September 23, 2025. We look at current events, geopolitical trends, especially discussions around Jerusalem's status.
Mm-hmm. International frameworks being proposed.
So could we speculate within this model about a major event, maybe some big diplomatic declaration in New York, something attempting to finally settle Jerusalem's political framework?
And from Martin's perspective, viewing human attempts to dictate Jerusalem's fate.
He might see that as
a covenant of death. That's the language. Humans usurping God's plan for the city.
And the consequence, according to Jeremiah 25 in this interpretation.
That specific, severe, global judgment falling on the nations involved in such a declaration.
Right. Okay, now here's where it connects back to Martin's astronomical work, isn't it? Earthly conflict and the cosmos.
This is where it gets really interesting, yeah.
What if on the same day, Rosh Hashanah 2025, something happens in the sky?
Like a celestial sign.
Exactly. Like a rare planetary conjunction maybe appearing stationary directly over Jerusalem.
Wow. Okay, within Martin's framework, that wouldn't be random.
No. It would be seen as a divinely orchestrated sign.
A modern star of Bethlehem echoing his nativity research.
And aligning with that final theme in the arc transcendent revelation, like in the Book of Enoch reference used.
Where the seer ascends, gaining heavenly perspective. The sign gives context to the earthly chaos.
Which brings us right to the final thought this whole analysis leaves us with.
Okay.
The source material seems to suggest, whether it's national division, like Lamentations' fallen crown,
or a crisis like the Red Sea crossing.
That the chaos on earth, the judgment, it only really makes sense when you see it from a higher perspective.
Through that lens of heavenly revelation.
So here's the question for you, the listener, to think about. What profound insight, what new understanding might the world gain if a visible, undeniable celestial sign appeared over Jerusalem on the very same day as a major geopolitical crisis centered on that city? Something to definitely mull over.